Why would someone stay faithful to God, even when it could cost them their life? Why would a man choose prayer over safety? Why would someone risk everything, knowing the consequence could be death? What kind of faith refuses to bow even when lions are waiting? This is not just a story. This is a test of faith, a moment where fear and faith stand face to face, and only one will win. Let me take you back to a time of kings and kingdoms, to a man named Daniel. Daniel was not ordinary. He was faithful, disciplined, committed to God, no matter what. Even in a foreign land, even surrounded by people who didn't believe what he believed, Daniel stayed true. And because of his integrity, because of his wisdom, because of God's favor, he was promoted. The Bible tells us in Book of Daniel 6:3 that Daniel distinguished himself above all others because an excellent spirit was in him. But success often attracts opposition. The more Daniel rose, the more others became jealous. They watched him, they studied him, they looked for a mistake, a weakness, a flaw, but they found nothing. No corruption, no dishonesty, no failure. And that frustrated them. So they said, if we can't find fault in his life, we will find it in his faith. And that's where the attack began. They went to the king and created a law, a dangerous law, a law that said for 30 days no one could pray to any god or man except the king, and anyone who disobeyed would be thrown into the lion's den. Think about that. This was not just a rule. This was a trap designed specifically for Daniel, because they knew Daniel would never stop praying. So, the question is, what would you do if following God meant risking your life? Would you stay faithful, or would you stay safe? Daniel had a choice. He could hide. He could stop praying for a while. He could compromise, just a little. After all, it was only 30 days. But Daniel didn't change. The Bible says in Book of Daniel 6:10 that when Daniel learned about the decree, he went home, knelt down, and prayed, just as he always had. No fear, no hesitation, no compromise. That is real faith. Faith that doesn't change even when circumstances do. And because of that, they caught him. They reported him to the king, and suddenly the man the king respected was now sentenced to death. The king was distressed. He didn't want Daniel to die, but the law could not be changed. So Daniel was taken and thrown into the lion's den. Imagine that moment. The darkness, the silence, the sound of lions moving. This was it. No escape, no human solution. But Daniel was not alone. The Bible says in Book of Daniel 6:22, "My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions." Think about that. God didn't stop Daniel from being thrown in, but he protected him inside it. Sometimes God doesn't remove the problem. He shows his power through it. The lions were real. The danger was real. But God's protection was greater. All night long, Daniel stayed there, and not a single lion touched him. Because when God is with you, what was meant to destroy you cannot harm you. The next morning, the king rushed to the den. With a trembling voice, he called out, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God saved you?" And Daniel answered, "Alive, safe, untouched." Victory. Not because Daniel was strong, but because his faith was strong, and his God was faithful. So, what does this mean for you? You may not face lions, but you face fear, pressure, challenges, moments where it's easier to compromise than to stay faithful. But Daniel's story reminds us, stay faithful, even when it's hard. Trust God, even when it's risky. Because the same God who shut the mouths of lions is still with you today. And whatever you are facing, God is able to protect you, guide you, and bring you through it. So don't give up your faith for temporary safety. Stand firm, trust God, stay faithful, because in the end, faith wins, and God will always have the final word.